Welcome to another Coding Minds Project Web Conference. And I'm Nina Luo, and I'll be your host today. And tonight, our speaker is Bill Zheng, who is a rising senior at the Web Schools of California. He has devoted himself to mathematics and computer science with interests in political science and physics. Bill's project aims to tackle the problem of fake news. Right now, we're in a unique and unsettling political climate, and fake news and misinformation has become tools to sway the public rather than crimes. So Bill will be presenting his app that can detect political biases, opinions, and the use of sarcasm in news articles. Bill, you can share your screen and take it away.
Thank you, Nina. That's a really nice introduction. So, hello everyone, my name is Bill, and today I will be presenting an application / an algorithm that can detect political biases as well as opinion and sarcasm. So I call this the automation of political bias detection in news using machine learning. And machine learning is going to be the main part in which I will be using. It's the main part that enables this algorithm to be accurate as well as not memory consuming. A little bit of context here. When I started to take notice in fake news, that is when President Trump, then presidential candidate, started to saying, "You are fake news." And that is the tipping point of this discovery. And then I find out that it's okay among Democrats in terms of trusting the mass media. But if you look at independents as well as Republicans, you'll find that their trust in mass media is a pathetic 36 and 15% as of lately. With that, it came to my idea that that apparently, in a lot of people's opinion, a lot of news are indeed biased. And using statistics as well as consensus, I found out that many of the news that you see today and you view every day are in fact being viewed as very biased in terms of public consensus. For example, those who are conservative watch Fox News, and that is something, and people view it as right-leaning. And for those who view Vox, CNN, The Atlantic, or Huffington Post, it is also very left-wing to the point from the perspective of the public. Therefore, using that, it comes to my idea to just generate an algorithm, to create an algorithm that analyzes each news article and to see if they are biased or not. I used regulated least square regression as well as support vector machine as the basis of my machine learning process to create an algorithm that has, as of right now, a rather high accuracy. This is a snippet of the algorithm as well as the front end. So on the left, you can see that the algorithm has an output as well as an input data. The input data is set for 30 pieces of news, even though you only see 8 here for now. However, it has since massively expanded. It covers a lot of different subjects, such as economy, the politics around coronavirus, stimulus package, and also presidential election. With that, I asked many of my classmates to fill out what biases do they think. I made sure to include both of the political spectrum so that this process is in fact very fair. I used a supervised machine learning because compared to unsupervised machine learning, this is more efficient in terms of having a really nice data. So the main takeaway of comparing a supervised and unsupervised learning is that the supervised learning shows you the exact correlation between an input as well as an output, while the unsupervised learning does not, as it has to figure out the relation between an input and an output. Well, unsupervised machine learning certainly does work in some circumstances. In terms of detecting political bias, you need to find out what the general consensus think. And that is something that the machine cannot extrapolate just based on raw data and a bunch of unpaired and unordered outputs. In the front end, you can see a dial consisting of green, yellow, and red region. In terms of political bias, the green region, which is centered around the center, as the more centrist news, it tends to have a better picture of what is going on. The green region is centered around the center. With that, this means that anything outside of it, it is just too biased and you don't really want to do it. And in terms of opinion, I have made a progression sort of. As you can see on the left, as it gets closer to 0, it means that the opinion is less, as well as that it utilizes a lot of facts to back up its claims and use facts to extrapolate your own interpretation. And in the yellow region, it means that the opinion is a bit excessive and that even though it is readable, it is still not the best way to acquire information as well as to know what the general public think, as it is more individual oriented and it involves more of an educated guess. And on the red region, that is the place where there is completely off individual thought process. It has little to no factual background. And at the end, it is just either it is just pure speculation or it is just a little personal rant. In terms of media outlets, it detects sarcasm as well as the use of trolling. So how do I use this? How to achieve this? So if you have specific usage of things such as obscenity, things such as very inappropriate formatting, zero data, things combined like that, which are used for trolling. And as you can see from the dial, if it's on the left, you don't have to suspect anything. If it's in the middle, which is the yellow region, then you have to say, it kind of just warns you that, oh, it might be a little bit of trolling, or it might be just a little bit of sarcasm, so you don't have to take it seriously. And on the red, it just means you're reading a troll post. Just don't think about it. Just ignore that. It's nothing useful. And that is just going to be the 3 parts that I am going to be focusing on. In terms of algorithm, each political article has its specific set of keywords. So by giving them a value, I can show that it has some sort of regression into it. A linear regression fits this the best because most of the time the changes are subtle as you go from the far left to the far right, which is different than things like logistic regression, when it changes a lot really in the middle, which isn't something that politics really do. And second, in terms to help my classification method, I also used support vector machine, which effectively divided 2 different groups. And that really helps because this employs a lot of things centered around binary classification. And this really increased the accuracy of the algorithm. So right now, let me show you the demo of the project. This is going to be the front end of the project, and this is just going to be the back end. As you can see, I have used HTML, JavaScript, as well as CSS to create a very comprehensive backend. Comprehensive interface. So right now, these are the 2 demos. As you can see on the top, it came from NBC and Political. While on the bottom, although it didn't say it, it comes from CNN Opinion. As you can see that on the top segment, it really just focuses on the president's policies. However, on the bottom, it is more of a speculation of what Kanye West wants out of his bid for presidency. So it doesn't really take an educated person to really see that these 2 have tremendously different intentions. And one on the top it merely describes a policy, while on the bottom it is more left-leaning as well as more speculation. And now, if we were to plug in these in our interface, we can see that it will hopefully show a difference. Apparently the computer's been getting a little slow, but it will generate a really interesting data. Apparently it is really slow. So let's see if we can restart this. And a lot of times, if your computer has a really high ping, it doesn't really, you don't have to be really upset and banging your computer. The only thing you need to do is to just close the tab and reopen it. That's how most of the times things work. See here. Well, in terms of opinion and media outlet, it actually didn't really change. So how it's really happening? Well, as you can see right here, this shows that what Kanye West has been doing, and it shows what the president has been doing. Well, even though it might be a little bit more opinionated, it also shows a little bit of fact. Maybe I was wrong in the previous assessment, but what we can see here is that the White House stimulus package, it has literally zero political bias. Well, if you look at the biases presented by Kanye West, it shows that it has some left-wing leaning political bias. This means that the algorithm is working. The algorithm is showing that something coming out from CNN Opinion, which is notoriously being known as something that's really leftist, as well as something very opinionated, through the past couple of years, has indeed presented a left-wing bias. So what does this tell us? It tells us an interesting result. As you can see, I have also done this for a lot of other news websites. As you can see, the general consensus for Fox News is that it is pretty biased towards the right. For The Atlantic, it's towards the left. Washington Post, towards the left. And for the Onion, it doesn't show that it has any sort of political bias. So in general, all of my algorithm has been working except for the Onion. Why is that? Because sometimes satire is just really subtle. It's that there's always just that one little bit of obscenity, just one little bit of unprofessionalism, or just an excessive use of left-wing terminology or right-wing terminology that really shows that it's a piece of satire. And a lot of times it's hard for an algorithm to catch it. Even for a data-backed machine learning algorithm that has its accuracy improving as you add more data. And in my case, I have more than 20,000 words of data to be being added in my machine learning process. And that really shows something interesting. Whenever you're analyzing something that is based on real life, it might be better to not just use a specific algorithm filled with if-else to really show the exact result. However, as you add more and more data into machine learning, it really shows that the number converges to what the public think. And that is something you should take more notice in terms of real life. And I am here to leave my plan, and I'm here to show that it has a great deal of applicability in real life. I'm planning to make it as a gadget, as well as a plugin for different web browsers, such as Safari, Google, as well as Firefox. These things can be shown to every single news article, as I have demonstrated the ability in this demo. And these can directly tell you whether it's biased or not. And that is something we should. And this data-oriented approach is going to be extremely helpful, and it can provide a great deal of social impact in the near future. And that is what I'm clearly aiming for, to provide the public a better sense of which article is more biased and which one is not, so that the public can strive for more accurate news and to kind of push the journalism to a better and less opinionated era.
What was the greatest difficulty when programming this app?
A lot of it is on data. So in terms of just gathering data, it really shows that you have to gather a wide spectrum of it not just in terms of topic, but also in terms of biases. For example, just in terms of COVID, you have to get Fox News portrayal on lockdown, Associated Press portrayal on lockdown, and Fox News' portrayal on lockdown, so that you can really see how the left and the right react to different forms of to this specific type of policy. And in terms of COVID, you also need to show that have a breadth of a different type of news articles. For example, you need to show that there is a type of article that focuses on potential treatment. There needs to be articles that focuses on lockdown, as well as internal and international policies. So all of these things being smushed together, it really makes it really hard to just gather enough data for every single possible topic. However, this is not unachievable, as random sampling from the news website can help us in the long term.
So what are some improvements that you plan to implement?
First of all, it's going to be the interface. I think there can be more improvements for interface just in general, as that it can have a better formatting, can be more pleasant in terms of just using it. Also, it's going to increase its convenience. And when I'm trying to make use it as a plugin for Google, it's going to be very convenient. It's supposed to tell me whether it is biased, it's opinionated, or it's a troll in a matter of 3 to 4 seconds. Therefore, that is something that I will always strive on to increase the efficiency as well as the latency for the algorithm.